Good morning everyone. This is Amitesh Kumar Pathak, and in today's video we are going to discuss about previous year questions of the chapter The First War of Independence 1857. And why we are discussing it, because these questions will provide you an overview that which type of question may come in the examination. This video will be helpful for you to understand the type of question which can come in the examination, as these are the previous year questions. I have collected it from the different sources. So we are going to discuss it and hope it will be helpful for you all. So let's start. Now, the first question is why which policy of Dalhousie created fear and resentment among Indian rulers? This is a very important question, and the question is asking about the policy of Dalhousie which created fear among Indian rulers. So the Dalhousie was very famous in the Britain for his success in India. He has annexed many states in India under his policy, particularly the doctrines of lapse. In this policy, what happened that when a king does not has a natural heir and he has adopted a child to be the next king of his kingdom after his rule, in that condition, the adopted child was not allowed to be the next king after the present ruler. So means that the kings were not allowed to adopt heir to their throne due to, and on this basis many states were there annexed like Jhansi, Satara, particularly these two were there were many more other states, and due to this policy there were many rulers who lost their kingdom, and they were in anger. They Some of them were in fear that what happen if my son is going to die, then the my kingdom will be annexed by the Britishers. Second question is the interference in the custom and tradition of Hindus was one major cause of the revolt of 1857. Support the statement with the example. Now, when you will look at the book, you will find that the same sentence is given in the book. The sentence has been taken out, and in the question, you people are being asked to support the statement with the example. So there was interference in the custom and tradition of Hindu by the Britishers, and it created a fear, it created anger in a large section of the society in India. Now, as you can see on the screen, the British started to work on social religious reforms. For example, they abolished Shati, they encourage widow remarriage. They also encourage women's education, which Hindus take it as interference in their custom and tradition. Not only Hindus but also the other communities of India. Then there was the introduction of Western education. British introduced Western education with the objective that they will created Indians who will be like-minded the Britishers, means they will create the Indians who will be by the thinking and the by character British, and for that they come up with the idea of Western education. Uh, then there was some Christian missionaries which were working to convert Indians into the Christianity, convert Hindus to Christians, which also made people furious. The people were thinking that they are going. Next, there was a change in the Hindu law of property, and which enabled the Hindus who had been converted into Christianity, and then they can receive the their share of ancestral property, because on these days, when someone converted to other religion, people, uh, he was not allowed to take his share of his ancestral property. So that law was also changed by the Britishers, which caused anger, resentment among the common people, and which led, due to which they supported the revolt of 1857. Now, question number third is, share any three political cause of revolt of 1857. In here we need to discuss political cause of revolt of 1857. As you can see on the screen, I have given the four cause. You can also mention five also, because if it is a 5 marks question, they can ask you to mention or state any five political cause of revolt of 1857. So the first point is, the Indian sepoys were dissatisfied with the treatment meted out to them. Actually, there was a discrimination in the British Indian Army. The British people who were working in the British Indian Army, they were given more salary in comparison to the Indian sepoys who were working in the British Army. Even the Indians were not promoted to high rank, but the Britishers were promoted to the high ranks. There was a there was a discrimination in the allowance provided to the soldiers. There was a discrimination in the food and the facilities provided to the soldiers. So, due to these discrimination, the Indian sepoys were completely dissatisfied. The next one was policy of Dalhousie, particularly the doctrines of lapse, created fear and resentment among Indian rulers. We have already discussed in previous question that the policy of Dalhousie created the policy of Dalhousie, which was doctrine of lapse, and under this policy, Dalhousie annexed many states, and the rulers of the next states were waiting for an opportunity so that they can settle their score with the Britishers. For example, Bahadur Shah Jafar, Tatya Tope of Gwalior, Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi, Nana Sahib of Kanpur. They were all waiting for the right time so that they can settle their score with the Britishers. Next were the British signed many treaty with the kings and nababs, but violated them as per their convenience. So there was a Britishers had many treaty with the local kings and the nababs, but whenever British find that those treaty and the provisions of the treaty are not beneficial for them now, so they used to violate it as per their own convenience. For example, the British and Awadh, they were alive for a longer period of the time. The Awadh was always there to help Britishers, but when British find that the help of Awadh is not beneficial for them now, so they annexed it, and they gave the reason that the reason for their annexation was misgovernment. They said that the Nawab is not working for the welfare of the people. There was a misadministration in the state, so we are going to take over it. The fourth point is, the common people who wanted an end of the foreign exploitation. The common people were highly dissatisfied. They were exploited by the Britishers, and they were fed up of the policies of the Britishers, and due to which they participated in the revolt. The condition of peasants were very miserable. They had to pay high taxes, and once they failed to pay taxes, most of the time they were tortured or put in the jail. The artisans had lost their jobs. The industries and trade were declined. The common labor which were working in tea farms and all, they were getting very less wage, and they were treated as an animal. And they also, due to all these reasons, they also supported the revolt of 1857. Question number 4 is, describe any 5 reasons for the failure of revolt of 1857. So here we need to discuss the 5 reasons due to which the revolt of 1857 or the first war of independence was failed. The first is, the revolt broke out before the planned date. The people who were planning the people were planning this revolt for the month, but due to immediate cause it broke out before the planned date, and the things did not go in the way, in the path as it was planned. This was a major issue. Second was, there was no unity among the rebels. So the rebels were fighting, and they were fighting for their own reasons. For example, the Sepoy of Bengal wanted to revive the glory of Mughals, while the Nana Sahab and Tatya Tope tried to reestablish the Maratha power. Rani Lakshmibai was fighting for her kingdom. The peasants were fighting so that they can get themselves free from the exploitation of the Britishers. The people were fighting, but they don't had a single ideology. For that, they could fight for a longer period of time and throw out the Britishers from India. Next one, the uprising was not widespread. When we see the uh, map of this revolt of 1857, what we find that it was limited to North and Central India, like Bihar, then Delhi, all these areas. But the rest of the area was unaffected from this revolt. For example, Sikh, the Punjab region, they did not supported the revolt. The Nizam of Hyderabad, the Sindhyas, they were unaffected by the revolts. And the Gorkhas not only remained loyal to the Britishers, but they also helped the Britishers uh, to crush this revolt. And if imagine the situation, if the revolt uh, could have been broken all over, could have been spread all over the India, then it was very easy for the Indians to throw the Britishers out of the India. Next is lack of modern and sophisticated weapon and a disciplined army. The British has both these things. They had a modern and sophisticated weapon. They had an organized system of communication through which we can send messages to their allies in different part of the India and get the help. They had a disciplined army who was fighting for them. On the opposite sides, the rebels were not united. They were not fighting for a single cause, and they don't had an organized system of communication through which they can pass on their messages. And there was a lack of discipline in their plan and in their fighting. Next is lack of united leadership. We have keep on discussing this point, and we have seen it that the people fighting, the people who were supporting the revolt of 1857, they were supporting for their own cause, they were fighting for their own cause, and there was not a single leader who united all the people to a single ideology, or to give them the feeling that we are fighting for our nation. And there was a lack of this feeling of nationalism. People were not fighting for the freedom of India, rather than they were fighting for their own states. They were fighting because the Britishers has annexed their state. They were fighting because there was a discrimination with them. They were fighting because they want to uh, get away from the exploitation of British policies. If there could have been a single leader who could unite them in for the single ideology, who can fill them with the feeling of nationalism, then it would have been very easy for the Indians to throw the Britishers out of the country. And the what we are studying about as a first war of independence, it could have been our war of independence of 1857. So in this video, that is all for today. Next we will discuss in the next video. Thank you. Thank you.